I'm Dave and this is Logan, out once again for a walk in the countryside. Thanks for joining us. Now today we're at the pretty village of Meonstoke in Hampshire. It's about 12 miles to the north of Fareham, just off the A32. And we're going to be doing a roughly 5.5 mile circular walk, starting and finishing in the village. Initially we'll be heading eastwards, going to explore old Winchester Hill with its terrific Iron Age hill fort. We should get some magnificent views up there as well. And then we'll be heading back westwards along the South Downs Way. We'll be passing the River Meon, a disused railway track, and then we'll be looking at the villages of EXTON and Corhampton and then back in the village. Now we'll be seeing 3 churches and 2 pubs, so we've got a lot to see. Now you can see we're squinting in the sunshine. It's a glorious morning. It's the last day in May, bank holiday Monday. Sun's out, predicted to get to the mid-20s temperature wise, so perfect conditions for walking. Now normally with these walks we start off having a quick look at the village and then head out into the countryside, but I parked my car at the Meon Hall, village hall, which is where we are at the moment. It's on the outskirts of the village, so what we'll do is we'll do the walk first and then have a look at a few things in the village right at the end. Now you're ready to go to sleep. Come on, let's go. Well, as I mentioned before, we're going to head straight out into the countryside, walking across a field. The footpath goes across it. So that's where I parked my car, a little village hall. Well, it's quite a big village hall actually, behind those trees there. So it's a glorious day, it really is. And there's a nice breeze as well, which hopefully will keep us cool. Now, our first destination. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this because the sun is directly in the camera bit in a very, very far distance. Still quite hazy as the mist is burnt off. There's a hill, and that's old Winchester Hill. It looks further away than it actually is, though. Well, after the Roman legions left the country in, when was it, AD 410, a Jutish tribe called the Meon came and settled here in the valley. They sailed up the Solent. That's why it's called the Meon Valley. And Meonstoke is situated on the eastern side of the River Meon. It became a tribal centre. The Stoke bit is sort of Anglo-Saxon origin. Just crossing another field. It's going to be one of those days, I think, that it pays just to go at a very leisurely pace just to take in some of the views. So just behind me here there's a rather pretty looking ridge, and we'll get some even better views obviously when we get right up to the top of the hill. Now pan round. Old Winchester Hill gradually beginning to emerge from the morning haze, but a lot closer now. Well, if you're following this walk, as I know many of you do, we've been going along, looks like the Wayfarer's Walk. We've seen a few little signposts along the way. Come along a road and you need to look out for the Harvest Gate farmhouse and harvest barn just here. It doesn't look as though there's a footpath sign, but this is the track that we want to start heading down in a northerly direction, and it's the very start of our ascent up to the hill. Whew. Well, we're halfway up the ascent. Good excuse to have a stop and look at the view, and it really is quite wonderful. So just to show you where we've come, we've been following this track up the side. It's been quite peaceful through there, and also there's been a nice shade as well with some trees, but a lovely yellow colour of the oilseed rape on the side of the ridge there, and then just panning around and the hill in the far distance. I think that's Beacon Hill, I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, we must continue heading in that direction. Well, we're now at the base of Old Winchester Hill. I don't know why it's called that. Winchester's 11 miles away, but there you go. So we're now in what looks like, say, a nature reserve, and there's a sign that says or asks us to keep dogs on lead. So Logan's back on a lead. So just show you where we are. So there we go. This is the South Downs Way. So we've come up here and come along the South Downs Way. It does look as though that's the route up, but there is a much more direct route. So we're going to be brave and try that, although I expect we'll regret it. It's lucky I've got a Whippet to pull me up. Success, we've made it to the top, or certainly the outskirts of the old fort, which is by me here. You can see there's the ditch and bank. Now there was a hill fort here. Well, the earliest settlement was about 3,800 years ago in the Bronze Age, when there was a series of round burial barrows established on the top of the hill. But about 2,500 years ago in the Iron Age, a hill fort was built here, as I say, with one ditch and bank enclosing about 4 hectares. There are 2 entrances, one in the east, one in the west, and the bank rises to 10 metres above the ditch in places, and the ditch ranges from between 2 to 8 metres wide. The Romans may have used it at some time, and I was reading that in the Second World War the army used it as a mortar testing range. Wow, what about this for a view? This is looking north. Wonderful ridge. I love the way the shadows still. It's what, 9:45 in the morning. Beautiful. And this is just panning around. There's a nice little seat here as well to enjoy the view. So this is the fort next to me, and there's a helpful little information board which hopefully confirms everything that I've said so far. So we're going to carry on, and we're going to make our way through the centre of the hill fort. Now, I mentioned earlier on that there were a number of barrows on top here, and look, there's a couple just in front of me here. But right in front of me is, so I was reading, a very rare pond barrow, which is basically a circular depression designed to take the burial, but it may well have been more ceremonial rather than for graves, with mortuary rituals carried out actually within them. And apparently they only tend to be seen in Dorset, Wiltshire and here in Hampshire. Well, just to prove we're very high up, we've got a trig point. Also a little sort of information, I don't know what you'd call this, a map or something, but it's difficult to make out on a sunny day with the reflection. But apparently we can see, gosh, that's Chichester Harbour, over to the sort of southwest, I suppose. Isle of Wight, Cowshot Power Station and Forley. Well, that was Beacon Hill over there, I got that right. And then HMS Mercury over there. But oh, what a spot! A real 360-degree views. It's really weird, the weather, I tell you. It's a really warm day and there's a little breeze. There's no cloud as such, but there's this sort of haze. The wind's coming from the north. Otherwise I'd get some really spectacular photographs. I mustn't complain though. Well, I had a lot of fun on top of the fort there. We're now going to start to make our way downhill. I'm going to go through a really magical little bit of woodland, get some shade. But just as we do so, just by me here on the right, there's this sea of yellow. Obviously you've got buttercups and some dandelions, but also some cowslips in between as well. Just a sheer carpet of yellow all along the hillside. Beautiful. Back on the South Downs Way, an old friend of ours. We've been on various sections of this over the last few months. The whole track, of course, is what, 100 miles from Eastbourne in the east to Winchester in the west. Right, so we're going to make our way downhill still, and our next port of call will be a disused railway. Morning. Lovely day to be out. Well, the old disused railway line that we're crossing is the old Meon Valley line that ran for 22 miles between Alton in the north and Fareham in the south, basically following the course of the River Meon. It opened in 1903, passenger services closed in 1955, and the line closed completely in 1968. And our little route crosses the line. We also got the opportunity of having a look at this wonderful old brick bridge that goes over a stream. Well, just by the railway bridge, the Meon Valley trail does go along the South Downs Way, but we're going to take this little route here, South Downs Way, for the walkers route, because we want to go to EXTON and have a little look at the River Meon as well. So down these steps we go, and this is the enchanting River Meon, although that's the busy A32 you can hear in the background. One of my three favourite Hampshire chalk streams, the other two of course being the Itchin and the Test. But yeah, the river, it rises at East Meon and flows for 21 miles out to sea in the Solent at Hillhead, Stubbington, and we visited the estuary there in our Titchfield video. Looking beautifully clear on this side. See if I can see any fish. Not at the moment, but still that lovely crystal clear water and the gravelly bed, so typical of those Hampshire chalk streams. An excellent opportunity to cool down on a very hot day now. Is it nice in there? Yeah, I would join you, but well, don't want to get my feet wet. Now, how far is he going to go? Any fish in there? As soon as I mention fish, he'll probably come out. Oh, Daddy, did you mention fish? We'll now cross the main road, and I've got the River Meon on my left, heading towards EXTON, originally called East Saxon or farmstead of the East Saxons in 940 AD. Well, this is our first church of the walk, the Church of St. Peter and St. Paul, built on the site of an earlier church dating back to 940 AD. The present chancel was built in 1230 and the nave built in 1350. It's been much restored in the 19th century, and it has a somewhat unusual weeping chancel where the chancel, the bit that holds the choir and altar, is not in true alignment with the nave, the main body of the church, possibly to bypass a grave that nobody wanted to disturb. I don't know. And this is the Shoe Inn in Exton. It's thought there was an original thatched inn dating back to 1420 here, and that the building was then extended around 1640 to become a posting station for mail coaches. That's the Shoe Inn and Shoe Cottage, Bridge End Cottage. Oh, it's beautiful here. Now we're going to cross the Meon again. Wow, look at that. Isn't that quite exquisite? Beautiful. Let's have a little look and see what it looks like on the other side as well. Oh, equally as enchanting. On a day like today with the sun out, catching the glinting on the water there, quite beautiful. Well, the next settlement on from Exton is Corhampton, and there's a quite magical church that's quite tricky to find. It's certainly hidden behind a huge yew tree that's here on the right, and there's the church in front of me. It's a Saxon church, and originally, well, probably a wattle and daub building, and was built to convert the heathens in the area to Christianity. And the building was built on a pudding bowl mound with a ditch, and it sits on the original stone plinth, and you can see visible evidence of that around the northwest corner of the church. Apparently it's quite rare to see that. But the thing I want to point out, and it's very easy to miss, just on the right hand side of the porch. Yes, there it is. Do you see it? It's an old Saxon sundial, and you note the 8 tides rather than the 12 hours. And there was a major restoration of the church in 1999. It's an undedicated church, which is quite unusual, but it remains one of the most important Saxon churches in southern England. Now, the original inhabitants of Exton and Corhampton were Saxons on the western side of the River Meon, and the Meon tribe were of course Jutes, and they were on the eastern side, and there was little love lost between the two communities for centuries. Indeed, there wasn't a bridge built across the river until 1805. Well, we're back in Meonstoke, and our third and final church, and it's probably one of the most photographed churches in all of Hampshire behind me here. It's St Andrew's, and built around 1230. There's no mention or trace of an earlier church here. The tower was added in the 15th century, and that wooden top that almost looks Italian in design, doesn't it? That was added in the 20th century. The present roof covering the nave and the aisles was done in the 18th century. A fair part of the village actually was burnt down at the beginning of the 18th century, but the church here was built on a slight mound above the river because the river could flood on many occasions. Well, right by the church is this lovely little green next to the river, and they've even got a little dog dip as well. Excellent again for cooling down once more. You coming back, fella? Come on then. and just over to the left is the pub, Buck's Head pub, 16th century. Just turning round, and there's another view of that gorgeous church. Well folks, we've come to the end of our walk. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do give us a thumbs up and a like, and do make a comment. We thought we'd do our end scene halfway up the ascent of old Winchester Hill. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so, then hopefully you'll be able to join us for another walk sometime in the future. And do check out our Facebook page, Dave's Countryside Walks. We've had a super walk today. The weather has been quite glorious. The sun's been out, nice little breeze as well. Some fantastic views, particularly obviously climbing up the hill, but also the river and the pretty villages as well. A quite delightful walk. So until we meet again, thanks for watching and cheerio. Good boy.